Welcome to The Holistic High Achiever. I'm your host, Kaitlin. This podcast is proudly sponsored by A Better Body, my therapeutic massage studio here in Madison, where massage is so much more than just relaxation. At A Better Body, we believe in personalized, empowering care that supports your overall health and wellness. Because when you feel better, you do better. As a high achiever myself, I know how easy it is to push your own needs aside while chasing goals, building a business, or caring for others. That's why this podcast exists. It's for all of my fellow high achievers, entrepreneurs, mompreneurs, and go-getters who want to thrive in a fast-paced, modern world without sacrificing their health, burning themselves out, and continuing to put themselves on the back burner. Yes, we'll talk about health, nutrition, and movement, and easy solutions to living healthier, but we'll also cover topics like goal setting, building habits, and overcoming challenges and limiting beliefs, which can be applied to any area, including health, so that you can thrive holistically. I talk a lot about what to eat, things to eat, all things nutrition. I want to start this episode by saying it's not only what you eat. How you eat is actually also really important as well. I'll elaborate. If you're someone who eats relatively healthy and you're not losing weight, it might be time to start looking at how you're eating. And I'm going to give some examples as I go, but this is really important because one of the things that's going to come up in this episode is portion control. I'm not a fan of restriction. If you've listened to a lot of my episodes, you know that. But being mindful is different of what you actually need. And if you pay attention, this is something I'll have clients do. I'll just tell you for free today, is have them pay attention to when they get hungry. A lot of people are just like, oh, well, I eat when I get hungry or when I have time. And if you start to actually pay attention over the next couple of days or week, if you're not already aware of it, you will start to notice a pattern. That your body naturally starts to kind of get hungry around the same time every day. It's not always going to be like 12, 13 p.m., but it'll kind of be within like a half an hour window, give or take. And as high achievers, we're often like super busy, driving from one place to another, going from meeting to meeting, task to task, getting consumed in what we're doing. And we don't necessarily build time in to eat. So if you take nothing else away from this episode today, build in time. Make sure you schedule time for yourself to allow yourself time to refuel and nourish your body with healthy food so that you're not rushing through it. I remember when I was actually doing my health coaching program back in 2018, and they were talking about this in the course, and I was like, well, I eat really healthy. Why does it matter how long it takes me to eat? Well, first of all, if you don't already know this, it takes your brain about 20 minutes to recognize that you're full, for your stomach to communicate that it's at capacity with your brain. So that's why a lot of times you're like at, Thanksgiving and things when you can just eat. And all of a sudden you're like, oh, my stomach hurts now. That's because you've overeaten and it takes a little while for your brain to catch up. I don't know if it's exactly 20 minutes. It probably varies, but we'll go with that for today. So the point is, what I want to tell you is so I did this. I'm very busy between clients, also running a business, managing a million things. And I wanted to time myself to see how long it took me to eat. Most people, I think, would assume 15 minutes-ish, right? This is a vulnerable moment. It took me 3 minutes to inhale my lunch, not even eat. That doesn't qualify. I inhaled it. So if this is you, same. Don't feel embarrassed because it is, you're doing all, or maybe you're eating on the go in the car and you're just inhaling whatever you picked up at drive-through. So planning ahead so that you have nourishing food available, but then also making sure that time to eat, that you're not rushing. And a big being proactive instead of reactive piece of that is kind of scheduling your day in a way that allows you to take an actual break to eat and not just shoving it in between 5-minute intervals that you have, if possible. Some days are easier than others, but the more you can practice this, the better. So I'm going to give you some tips for slowing down and not overeating. And some of these are super, super simple, which is the best part. The first one is to simply chew your food. This is another one that surprised me. How many times do you think the average person chews a bite of food? I don't know where the statistic came from, but it's 3. Chew, 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 swallow. The recommended number is 10 times that, 30. How many times, like, just thinking about like chewing a single bite of food, like we just go, I'm only at 10. It already seems like an awkwardly long time to chew food. And so it does, even with me, like it takes constant remembering that this, like, oh yeah, slow down, stop rushing. Not to mention just kind of like going backwards and out of order. When you're eating in a rushed state all the time, you're doing yourself a disservice because you're in a fight or flight response. Naturally, when you're rushing, your body's stressed. And when you're in a fight or flight response, your digestion naturally slows. It's part of the stress response. So there's this double-edged sword. You're rushing because you don't have time and you're trying to eat healthy, but then it's backfiring because you're putting your body in a stress response and then it's not digesting your food and getting all the nutrients and the full reward of eating healthy. So that was kind of like a afterthought. Didn't want to forget to mention that. So taking the time is going to reduce the rush, which reduces the stress response. So automatically your body is going to respond better to the nutrients that you're putting into it. Let's see, the next one. Oh, and the other thing I was going to say about saliva, when you're chewing your food, it gives more time for the saliva to absorb in your food. And there are digestive enzymes in our saliva that help break down the food before it enters our stomach to make it more easily digestible. So we get more nutrients from our food. It breaks down easier on our digestion. Another one with that kind of goes hand in hand with that is mindful eating. I feel like this is a term that kind of got overused for a while, because what does this really mean? It means like appreciating your food and paying attention to what you're eating. Like when you only chew 3 times, are you really truly tasting and enjoying and appreciating your food? Probably not. I mean, the only food I can think of that really doesn't need to be chewed is soup or applesauce, I guess, yogurt. Like there definitely are things you don't have to chew, but like say you're eating, I don't know, the salsa, cilantro, lime, salsa, slow cooker chicken meal that you made and you're like inhaling it. Why? You're not enjoying all the hard work you just did. So being mindful, appreciate the flavors, the aromas, the textures, and the gratitude that you just put into preparing a nutritious, balanced meal for yourself. Another one is to set your fork down between bites. It's like another one of those like really super stupid, simple things. But the act of doing that just like forces you to add like a second or two between bites because you have to re-pick it up and will prolong the amount of time that you take to eat, which then going back to what we said in the beginning will help because you're slowing down and your stomach has time to catch up and tell your brain when it's actually full. So you're not overeating. Another one is we all have habits of overeating, especially when it's good food or like comfort food. I personally love French fries and I don't eat them all the time, but when I do have them, it'll be like, a basket. And you never need to eat all the fries they give you, do you? But for some reason, like you just keep picking at them. You're like, I'm full, but I'm just going to have one more fry. And so a trick that I do use is when I'm full, when I'm done, I push my plate away because it's like a signal to myself that like, Kaitlin, you're done. You are full. Another kind of in the same realm is to verbalize or declare out loud, that was delicious. I'm full. Because now you've said you're full. So even if you're alone, it's like harder to then go back on it. And then lastly, paying attention to your hunger scales. So paying attention, like I said in the beginning, of that pattern of like when you get hungry in the first place, but also honoring that, because when you wait too long to eat and you're hangry, that is a real thing. That's often when we end up overeating because we're like so ravenously hungry by that point that we'll just put anything you eat in front of us and like nothing seems like enough when you just keep eating and keep eating and keep eating. And then we overeat. So paying attention to both eating before you're hangry and also honoring when you're starting to get full. There's the whole hunger scale. And really all that takes is some self-awareness and drawing attention to it. And I say all, but it actually it's a learned skill. So starting to learn your body and yourself instead of outsourcing, like, well, I eat lunch at noon because that's what time my break is. As much as you can, try and customize it to what your body is telling you. And I promise you, even if you only do one of these suggestions, that is still a great step in the right direction. I would love to hear what your favorite suggestion was, because sometimes the best thing to do is what seems like the easiest thing to do sometimes. And if there was one that you're like, that would make a huge impact, let me know. Give me a private message or a direct message on social media, on Instagram, and let me know which tip you're excited to try. Thank you so much for being here with me on The Holistic High Achiever. I hope today's episode left you feeling inspired and ready to take on the world one healthy step at a time. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, follow, and subscribe or leave a review. It helps so much. And if you're anything like me, you probably thought of someone else who would likely resonate with this. So don't forget to share it with them, because who can't use a little extra motivation? Until next time, friends, keep embracing your journey and kicking ass.